Hello my friends, in today's video we will revisit Insta360 One R. One R is a unique modular action camera system. It introduced a lot of innovation to the action camera market, which was admittedly becoming a bit boring. Since then, Insta360 has significantly improved the One R by the firmware updates. In this video we will try to find out whether it is still the most capable action camera on the market. If you are not familiar with Insta360 One R, it is a modular system which always consists of three parts: the core, battery base, and one of the mods. There are currently three mods available: the 4K mod, 360 mod, and my favorite 1-inch mod. I will tell you about those in a minute. I've been using this One R for about 14 months and it still looks basically like new. The materials are very high quality and I especially like very smooth rubberized surface. Despite that it is made of three parts, it feels very solid, there is no play or flex at all, and I can even say that the build quality is premium. I also like the design. Surprisingly, it is water resistant up to 5 meters even without the housing. Despite that, I would probably recommend using waterproof housing if it's not too inconvenient for you. Regarding the mods, the one that I've used the most is the 1-inch mod. For me, it is the best thing about this system because it is 2 levels above any other action camera in terms of the image quality. It uses a 20 megapixel 1-inch sensor, probably backside illuminated. It is paired with a 14.4mm equivalent lens. This lens is also noticeably wider than lenses on most action cameras. This mod is capable of shooting 5.3K video up to 30p and 4K video up to 60p. In terms of detail, it is by far the best action camera that I've ever tested. It looks more like mirrorless footage shot with an ultra-wide lens. 4K mod basically provides a very nice action camera footage similar to GoPro Hero 8 for example. It uses a much smaller sensor, but it still shoots really nice 4K video. Despite that I have 1-inch mod, I still use the 4K mod for 2 reasons. The first one is that it can focus much closer, so if I need to shoot something closer than about 50 centimeters, I use the 4K mod. The second reason is that it is smaller than 1-inch mod, so if I want to carry it in a pocket, it is much easier with 4K mod. I also have the 360 mod, but I don't use it much because I also have Insta360 One X2. The 360 footage is actually very similar to One X2. The image quality in terms of details is almost the same and so is the stabilization, which is fantastic. One X2 is better at stitching though. If you want primarily an action camera but you also want to shoot some 360 footage on the side, getting 360 mod is a good solution. There has actually been one huge upgrade regarding the image quality, which is the option to set the sharpness introduced by a firmware update. I use medium sharpness most of the time, which works well out of the camera. If you prefer a super sharp smartphone look, you can go with very high, but that is a bit of waste in my opinion. Regarding the colors, there are some changes there as well. The accuracy is a little bit improved and the white balance in difficult situations is more consistent. One R offers standard, vivid and lock setting. Standard setting provides nice colors, still quite saturated, but it is definitely not an overkill. I like this profile a lot and I use it most of the time. Vibrant is obviously more vibrant and saturated. If it matches your taste, there is nothing wrong with it. Lock setting is properly flat. It captures a very respectable amount of dynamic range and it offers a lot of flexibility for post-production. One R can also shoot very nice stills, especially with 1-inch mod. It has a pretty good lens, so the image quality is very decent and I also like the colors. You can also shoot RAWs, which can capture good amount of information for editing. One of my most favorite things about the One R is still the possibility to make a lot of changes to the footage in the post-production. One R no longer shoots in .insv format, everything is now in MP4, but it doesn't really change anything. You can still set the field of view after you have shot the footage. I much prefer choosing what looks the best on a larger screen instead of guessing what will it look like and having no chance to fix that. For me personally, this is a game-changing feature and one of the main reasons to get the One R instead of competitors. The other thing that you can do in the post-production is to use Insta360's excellent flow state stabilization. The video files contain data from the 6-axis gyroscope and the footage will be stabilized in the computer or in the smartphone. And the result of doing that is nothing short of amazing. This is actually the best stabilization that I've ever seen, except the one on One X2. Static shots look like on a tripod and walking shots look like on a gimbal. Because it uses data from the gyroscope, low light conditions won't affect the stabilization at all. It is not only the most effective stabilization that I've ever seen, it is also the most naturally looking. As you can see yourself, it is amazing overall, so it is a huge strength of One R. There is also a new horizon lock function which should neutralize the roll, but it introduces a huge crop and I haven't really found any situation where it would be useful. If you don't want to deal with post-stabilization and cropping, you can just switch to basic mode and you will get stabilized and cropped footage out of the camera. As you have probably noticed, there is one downside to this modular design and that is the smaller screen. It is a 1.3-inch screen, which is okay for composing the shots and for general use. I'm used to similar screen sizes from devices such as Pocket 2. Of course, it is not great, but in my opinion, it is a reasonable sacrifice for the modular design. A big advantage of the screen is that you can rotate it forward and see yourself. Of course, this will be very useful for vloggers. The user interface is actually very good. Probably as good as it can be at that screen size. Just like all similar devices, it uses swipe gestures to access the playback menu, settings, manual exposure, and so on. Despite the screen size, everything is possible to control on the screen. The menu is logically organized and the items are large enough, so no complaints overall. The smartphone app is great. The connection is very fast and reliable. The interface is pretty simple, but it lets you change all of the modes and settings. You can also use the app to edit the footage. If you shoot in Pro mode, you can apply the flow state stabilization, change field of view, use filters, or even apply the LUT if you shoot in lock. I especially like to use this app on iPad. User-friendly interface in combination with larger screen makes the editing a lot more pleasant. Insta360 also has a free desktop app. It basically lets you do the same things, but in my opinion it is more comfortable on the larger screen. If you shoot 360 video, you can use the smartphone app or computer app to choose the framing and camera movement. It is pretty simple, it utilizes keyframes which you can use to add panning or effects such as Tiny Planet. I have explained that in my One X2 review, so I will leave a link to that in the description. The battery base contains 1190 mAh battery, which is good for about 70 minutes of video recording. I prefer to use larger boosted battery base. That one has double the capacity, so 2380 mAh, and it will also last about twice as long. Another huge advantage of the boosted battery base is the integrated GoPro style mount. That brings us to the accessories, which are a huge part of the One R ecosystem. The selection is excellent. There is also a huge selection of filters for all three modes by Freewell. Underwater housings are also available for all three mounts. An important accessory is this simple 3.5mm to USB-C microphone adapter, which is very affordable at $13 or euros. I have made a separate video about the accessories for One R, which will also be linked in the description. Regarding the comparison to similar devices, there is no direct competitor. I have tried the GoPro Hero 9, but I wasn't very impressed. It is almost as large as One R with 1-inch mod, but the image quality on GoPro is nowhere near the One R. Hero 9 uses a new 20 megapixel sensor, but it is still a small 1/2.3 inch sensor, and I don't think that GoPro was able to get the video processing right. An advantage of GoPro is a larger screen, but if you can live with 1R screen, I definitely recommend 1R over Hero 9. The only device that can compete with 1R 1-inch mod in terms of the image quality is DJI Pocket 2. That one has a pretty large 1/1.7 inch sensor. Unlike GoPro, DJI was able to get the video processing very right. Pocket 2 shoots very nice and naturally looking 4K video. Pocket 2 is a very different device though, and it shoots significantly different footage. It has a 20mm equivalent lens, and I think that it is a good compromise. 1R and Pocket 2 are in my opinion a great combination, so I definitely enjoy having both. To sum up, Insta360 One R was already a great camera at the time of the release, and now it is even better. It is innovative, fun to use, and importantly, it provides great output. I think that the mode system makes sense, especially for those who want to mostly shoot normal footage and a bit of 360 or vice versa. To me, the biggest highlights of this camera are the 1-inch mod, post-production options, and the accessories. The image quality with 1-inch mod is 2 levels above any other action camera. The flow state stabilization is also the most effective. 4K mod provides very nice output, and it is a great option for less demanding all-round use and vlogging. Basically, the only downside or compromise is in my opinion that small screen. Together with Pocket 2, One R is by far my most favorite pocket camera in mid-2021, so I can highly recommend it. So that's it for this video, thank you for watching, I hope that you liked this video and that you found it to be useful. Stay tuned for more videos and maybe consider subscribing if you don't want to miss my future content. I appreciate your feedback in form of thumbs up or thumbs down. If you would like to ask anything or share opinion, please do so in the comment section, and see you next time.